Hello YouTubers, this is M1 Grandman. Just wanted to go over a project with you that I'm doing right now. Basically what I'm doing is I am fire forming or preparing to fire form some 30-06 brass to turn it into 9.3 by 62 millimeter Mauser. Now kind of ran an experiment. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where the guys will take their brass and they'll run it through the dies and they'll expand a neck out with varying results. Most of the time they end up destroying a lot of cases, splitting them or crushing them or having other mishaps. I decided I was just going to fire form some of these from '06 to the Mauser cartridge using powder and the cream of wheat and just see what would happen. I was kind of expecting the case necks to split, but didn't end up with that. What we got here is a very nicely formed 9.3 case. And like I said, I just used powder. And in this instance, I'm using 15 grains of recovered powder from some 9mm Swedish target practice ammo that I pulled apart to get the cases. So I had this powder that I had no data on, didn't want to use it for loading live rounds. I thought about dumping it out, but you know, I decided what the heck, I could use it for something like fire forming. So this is your original '06 case, and it is a Federal 30-06 Springfield. You probably can't see the head stamp because the GoPro doesn't like to focus up close. But what I did is I annealed the case necks so that way they can make the jump from 30 caliber to 9.3 millimeter, which is 36 caliber. And pretty much what ends up happening is I put powder in there. I put, you can see the toilet paper in the background. I'll use a quarter sheet of toilet paper. Basically I just separate it into the single ply, rip each ply in half. That seems to keep the powder in the bottom of the case better. You don't have to do that. I use paper towels, it works fine. I just recommend a soft paper that will expand to fill the bottom of the case once you push it all the way through. But in any case, I do that, and then I put some cream of wheat in there and put some more toilet paper on top, hold the cream of wheat in, and then go and fire it. And like I said, you can see the difference here in the case neck or the case mouth. It made the jump perfectly. I did 5 of these so far. No splits, no stress marks. Interesting thing too is you can actually, you probably can't tell on camera, but a lot of these 30-06 cases, they'll end up, once you fire them with a live round, will end up expanding to fill the chamber, since the '06 brass is not exactly the correct diameter. But it's not a real safety issue as long as you're not getting case ruptures. And you know, I've done this with other calibers like 7.7 Arisaka that I've made from 30-06 and 8mm Mauser, and they all do it. But basically, when you run them through the sizing die, it'll only push it back as far as it needs to go, and I've never had any issues with them rupturing. So I just thought it was kind of neat though that during the fire forming process, it actually started to form that. So the pressures are significant. For those of you who don't know, basically what happens is the you know, the powder ignites obviously, and it starts to push against the cream of wheat, and what that will do is then form this shoulder as it's exiting the barrel. You want to use something like cream of wheat or grits or something like that, a coarse compound. Probably crushed corn cob would work if you got a lot of old media laying around, but it needs to be something that is not going to be abrasive to the barrel, so I would not use sand. And it has to be something that has enough structure to it that it's actually going to form that shoulder. So you can see right here in my powder measure, I got some cream of wheat in there. And then we got our Lyman scale here. And I don't know if you can see the actual readout on there, but it is 15 grains. So I'm using 15 grains of this powder. Might be able to get away with 10, but you know, I decided I didn't want a chance not having that shoulder blow all the way out. So we're using 15 grains, which seems to work just fine. And what we're going to do is fill some of these up, and then tomorrow I'm going to take them out to the range and actually fire form some of these so that way you guys can see that it actually does work. Alright, so got the camera head mounted right now so that way I can go hands-free and show you exactly what I'm doing. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this case and we're going to put some powder in it. Like I said, that'll be 15 grains. Really doesn't matter exactly how much powder you use. The important thing is that it be a relatively fast burning pistol powder. Like I said, we want to actually separate the toilet paper into the individual ply, and you'll find out when you start doing this that it's good to have the paper already started onto the next sheet so that way you don't have to fight with it each time you want to tear it. And I just fold it over after I separated the ply, tear it in half. Now I got 4 rectangular sheets. Basically just going to wad that up, stick it inside the case. I'll use an Allen key because that's what I got. A drill bit would work. This is really not an exact science, unlike your other hand loading that you would normally do. We come over to the cream of wheat. And same thing, you'll see on this, if you do it, you'll probably have the cream of wheat fall in varying different height levels. Not a huge thing as far as, you know, you need to get exactly so many grains of cream of wheat in there. The main thing is you really want to see it above the actual shoulder in here, so that way you know you got enough force that's going to come up through that shoulder area and expand that neck out, or excuse me, that shoulder out and the neck actually. Take another sheet of toilet paper, put it in the top, compress that down, and you do really want this compressed. Now you can see over here on my loading tray, the toilet paper are all at varying different heights. There are a couple of these like this one where it's way down there by the shoulder. You know, the ones that I did before, they were all up higher. So I'm not exactly sure how well that will form out. Hopefully it'll come out all right. The main thing though is it'll blow that shoulder most of the way out. So then when I go and actually run these things through the sizing die, it should set everything up well enough to where I can safely live fire these. Something else too I didn't show you before either is I got just a bullet sitting in here to kind of show you what that 9.3 cartridge will look like when it's done. And interesting thing too is another project that I was working on is these started off life as a 3.75, or excuse me, a .375 caliber bullet, and I ran them through a Corbin Swager die or sizer die, and they ended up being .366, which is what I want them to be at. But the whole point behind that is I can get bullets for relatively cheap and they're easy to find where I live, versus those 9.3 bullets which nobody even shoots out here. So you know, it gives me an alternative to having to wait for things to come in stock online and wait to get them to the house and then be able to load ammo. So just a thought there too as far as swaging is concerned, or sizing rather, because swaging is actually forming the bullet. Sizing is just changing the size of the bullet. But that's an option there for you too if you own a rifle that you can't find bullets for, either because they don't make them. Like, you know, I know there are some 6.5 millimeter Mannlicher rifles that have non-standard bore diameters, and there are other rifles out there that have that issue as well. And, you know, or you might find yourself in my shoes where you just can't find the bullets you need around, but you got something that's pretty close. You can size it down, make it work. So there'll probably be a video to follow on that once I get the rifle put together this spring and actually get you know, loaded ammo put together and take it to the range. But this is what I got for now. Alright, so we're here out at the range. Gonna do that fire forming I told you about. This is the 03 Springfield Action with a 9.3 millimeter chambered barrel for, well, 9.3 by 62 millimeter. In any case, I'm going to load it up with some of the fire forming cartridges, and we'll go through it. I'm going to do 10 rounds, so we'll start off with 5, since that's what the magazine holds. Come over here. Because we have that toilet paper in the end of the case, you can actually load the magazine and feed them from the mag. Your mileage may vary, depends on what rifle you own. I imagine most control feed guns, though, should be able to accomplish this task. So you can see it's a pretty quick affair. Today I'm doing 230 of these things. I'm down to the last 20. Every once in a while the claw won't pick them up, so if you think you didn't see it go in there, you might want to check that before you actually pull the trigger. You can actually see the toilet paper and cream of wheat exit the muzzle when I fire. Alright, so let's take a look. And the barrel on that, needless to say, is very hot. I burnt myself earlier on it. But really, I mean, you can go as fast as you want with that. It's not like you're going to damage the barrel by heating it up too much. In any case, you can see we got a pretty good shoulder on there now. You can actually see a ring on the brass where the old shoulder used to start. And you can see where it is now. Hope you enjoyed.